Hi, I'm Tom, and this is Devlog 0 for my game project, Golden Age. The game will hopefully be a bit like playing Animal Crossing, crossed with Candy Crush. A bit of a weird hybrid, I suppose. It's based around an old MMO game called Puzzle Pirates, which still exists today, but I'm putting my own spin on it and trying to revive some of the fun memories that I had when I was a kid playing it. I'm just going to make it a bit more modern and updated, hopefully. This is a personal project that I started in lockdown 2020. I'm a self-taught developer, and this is just for fun, so there's no commercial pressure or anything on this at all. From there, it's kind of just snowballed, and I'm just working on putting together a demo for the game. In this video, I'm going to talk about what I've done to date and just show off some of the bits from really early on in development, and just explain where that's got me to right now and what I'll be doing next. I'll cover some of the work I've done in 3D, that kind of world space, and just kind of give you some ideas of what it will be like to explore the world and what I think about that at the moment. Some of the puzzles and stuff as well. I'll take you through some of the early prototyping for the mini games and some of the bits. Just show off, oh look, it's me making Tetris, but I will do that. And then I'll show you some of the battle nav stuff that I've worked on, which is a pretty core mechanic within the game, and some of the AI training I've done for that, because that's pretty cool. But I'll probably cover that more in a later video as well. So really today this is just about kind of getting you familiar with the project and just showing off a little bit of everything, to be honest. So if you want to keep track of development and support me, please hit the subscribe so I can kind of make all this pain worth it. It's quite a lot of work, so it'd be cool if you guys would like to follow along. But that's enough just talking about it. Let's dive in. So I started working on Golden Age back in August of 2020. I was out of work, like lots of people were, and didn't have much else to do. And I had applied for a job with Unity because it's a space that I've been interested in for a while, but I'd never actually used Unity. So I thought I might as well download it and get familiar with it in case it came up in the in any interview. Um, and I was messing around with it in day one, and first off realised it was in C Sharp, which is something that I kind of know a little bit about, and also just found it fairly intuitive. So I kind of went online, found a model, like a character model rig, and I actually found one which was called like a 10-minute pirate rig and all. But I actually got hold of that and I put it into Unity, and I got an animation off Maximo, Maximo, however you say that. Banged that into Unity, got the character running, got him moving across a bit of space, and was really excited by that. Like it was like bringing something to life, and it was really cool. So I was pretty impressed with myself, if I do say so myself. And I decided that I was going to keep working away at it. So really, this was the start of me prototyping the world space for what eventually became the idea of Golden Age. Getting a character moving around and then doing some landscape creation, like creating some basically small bits of world to run around on, and working on things like water and things like that. So this was really the kind of starting point. But it wasn't really until I'd got a few days in that I started to get this idea in my head that I actually wanted to create something that was inspired by Puzzle Pirates. So I'd kind of been working on an inventory system that I'd copied from a Brackeys tutorial. So yeah, just bear in mind at this point that I really am not much of a developer, and this was a lot of learning for me, making sure that things were working and putting in things like gravity and an inventory system and things like that were quite substantial. And I was learning as I was going. But yeah, after a little while of seeing this pirate kind of animated and standing around on an desert island, I had a bit of an idea for putting together a little bit of a demo, and putting together a demo that was a bit like playing Puzzle Pirates but single player. My ambition was pretty big at this point to just pick up Unity and have a bit of development knowledge and then go and build a game. But I felt like
with a bit of perseverance and spending a bit of time learning, I could just let me apologize for the fact that all of these are recorded on my phone at the time. A lot of this at the time was me being really excited and showing my friends what I've been up to, and basically videoing it on my phone and sending it on WhatsApp. But yeah, so I had an idea for putting together a little prototype with a few puzzles and some of the key stuff from the original game. I didn't think it would take me as long as it has, but I still haven't reached that prototype yet, although I am pretty close. So, like I said, I've been working on this since August 2020. That's 18 months, I think, at this point. It's quite a long time. But with, work and stuff coming back in and development being a bit on off, hitting some roadblocks along the way of stuff that I didn't know how to do, it's been quite a long journey to get to certain places. But I feel like, at the moment, the development where it is in terms of all areas of the game, I'm starting to make some breakthroughs and things are starting to get easier and getting to the point where, with a game which is loads of mini games inside of a bigger game, I'm getting to the point where the mini games are getting easier to build because I've got a template and a system that works, and I can kind of adjust it to the different styles of puzzle. Ultimately, what we've got at the moment is a 3D world space. I suppose the first thing to address is that this is a 3D game outside of those puzzles. It's whereas the original Puzzle Pirates, and this might upset anybody who's who's played the original, was isometric. This is 3D. I find it much easier to work in 3D, to be perfectly honest, and a lot of the kind of systems outside of those puzzles will remain 3D. A lot of the models will be 3D, and that kind of world space is going to be traversed in 3D. So there will be a little bit of I guess a slight bit of open world feel to it. One of the things that obviously I'm looking at is how to build a much bigger world than a single island, and kind of having you traverse between those via boat. I've started looking at different systems to do that, like nav mesh agents and things like this, to basically do that work for me. And I think I've got a bit of a system down for that now. But yeah, I think one of the things that I really want to do with the world space, which would be quite exciting, is have an area that is procedurally generated and actually give you different places to explore. So the idea for that is that it will be called the Mists, and I realise that's not particularly original, but it will give you like a new place to explore. There'll be lots of things inside the Mists, inside that procedurally generated world, which will change all the time and basically give you fresh things to go and explore. But also as well, there'll be lots of stuff like trade and like economy, owning islands and things like that, which were a aspect of the multiplayer game, but will be available to you in single player. The general idea being that you'll start off with not very much, just being able to play those puzzles and enjoy that if that's what you're there for. But over time, you'll be able to build up and play in a much larger world, own lots of ships, have a fleet, have a massive crew, run an island, become a governor, all that kind of stuff like that. That's where I'd like to take it, from a 3D perspective. So that really at the moment is in very humble beginnings. I'm kind of working through that and trying to get everything working the way it should be, getting all the little systems in place. And I think that one of the things I've heard a lot recently is this kind of 2080 rule. It's very easy to get a prototype up and running for a lot of these systems. It's about 20% of your time, and then about 80% of the rest of the time is making those systems look good and work properly and basically not be buggy as hell. So, I'm very aware that there's still a long way to go, but actually, in terms of having a bit, something that you could play, a bit of a prototype, there's going to be a fair bit of functionality when I get to that kind of demo that I'm calling it. So, outside of the world space, we've obviously got, some different puzzles, mini games, I suppose. you could look at them as that need work. And back in 2020, I was prototyping those as well. So I was doing some simple match three games. I built a Tetris game, of course, as everyone does when they're learning to do game dev. And these kind of were to help me build in my head what one of these looked like from a code perspective, and how they worked and what systems they relied on. 2D puzzles are actually, I find, a lot harder to use, not use, but develop than anything in the 3D space, because you're basically working with data structures like arrays and things like this, which don't really have any kind of bearing in the 3D space. Like, you can't really see them. You don't have like a visual representation that you can interact with. If your guy isn't running properly because the animation isn't working, you can quite clearly see that. If a you know if the width of your grid that you're putting your blocks into is too wide, as you can see in this Tetris game, you don't really know that until it happens. So there's a lot of debugging and stuff like that, which you don't really get in 3D. And to be honest with you, the puzzles have been the bit which have sucked up a lot of time. But at the moment, I'm kind of through a bunch of the work to get those working. And I've got some very basic prototypes at the moment. None of the assets that I've got in place really are planned to be final assets, but they work for now, and they do their job. I think that ultimately, getting something working is more important to me right now. So the puzzle stuff is coming along nicely, but really at the moment I'd say that and knitting together some of the world space stuff is really what's kind of holding up the process, and is what I'm having to spend a lot of time working on. I think that there's a potential that I could really take the game seriously, and I want people to come along and try out the game, and I'll be releasing demos, and I'd love it if you guys stuck around and supported the game as I develop it, looking at ways to create a world that's dynamic and feels amazing, using it like machine learning and AI to kind of create that feeling, rather than having to code together a functioning MMO is quite a well, I mean, ultimately it's fairly realistic if I get to that point. I'm kind of moving towards this demo. When I have that, I'll be releasing it for community testing. People can play it, you can do what you like with it, give me feedback, tell me things you like, things that don't work. There'll be a few islands to move between. There'll be some NPCs to interact with, and hopefully it'll have the core gameplay loop. That's where I'd like to get to. I think at the moment, with some solid development time, I could probably get that done in the next. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, but the next 3 to 6 months I think is realistic. Um, but so far it's been really worth seeing all the hard work and tears just slowly developing into something that's going to be really functional. So yeah, if you want to see how it goes, I'll be releasing some devlogs just to keep you guys updated on progress, show you some things I've been working on, and try and include you guys as much as possible in that journey. So feel free to kind of subscribe and keep track of it. I've got no idea on how frequent or how much I'll be posting. I guess it depends on how many people want to see new stuff and how many people subscribe and things like that. But yeah, I'm really excited just to see where it goes and kind of get together a bit of a playable demo for you guys. That's kind of it's kind of cool. So yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Um, I think I'm going to change this game to just be Space Pirates because gravity is just fucking whack.